Jesus told stories about the lost, and many of us remember those stories. We remember stories about the lost sheep and the lost coins. And also, as part of this, it wasn't part of the text that we read, but immediately following these stories is the story of the prodigal son, the child who was lost in sin. And we can probably think of all kinds of people that we would consider lost. People who struggle with addictions, people who are homeless, people who are in jail, people of different religious traditions. And like the Pharisees, we are sometimes judgmental and uncomfortable associating with those people. And yet, that is, and those are, the people that apparently Jesus chose to associate with. And that is what Jesus wants us to do too. The director of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America and the ELCA Global Missions a few years ago wrote an article, and he focused on the numbers in these parables that Jesus told, noting that numbers in the Bible have meanings. And 100 is a complete number. But 99 sheep are incomplete. 10 is a complete number. But 9 coins are incomplete. And since Jesus' stories are linked also with this story about the prodigal son, the child missing from the family makes the family incomplete. And this theme of incompleteness, I think, is important for us to consider. Notice that the sheep and the coin don't do anything to make themselves more complete. It's the shepherd and it's the woman who go out and find them and return them to completeness. Our church family is incomplete without all the people in our community for whom Christ died. And I'm talking about the church family all through the world is incomplete without all the people that Jesus died to save. Jesus tells us not to judge others who don't know him yet, but to just love them, to meet them where they're at, and to welcome them as he did, the one who welcomes sinners and eats with them. When I lived out in Oregon, my friends and I decided to take whitewater rafting classes. Well, our first class, we went down to this river, and our teacher had some of those big, has anybody gone whitewater rafting? Has anybody done that? And so, they have these great big, huge, big rubber rafts that they load you into, and it can hold like 6 or more people in these rafts, and everybody kind of gets a side in the front and the back, and these paddles that you use and stuff. So anyway, he gave us, the paddles, and he talked to us a little bit about it and started kind of loading us into these. He gave us a little bit of instruction, not very much. And then he said, I just got this new inflatable kayak. Would anybody like to use this when we go down the rapids? And I raised my hand. I thought, oh, that sounds like fun. And after all, I'd grown up around here on the lakes. I love water. I love swimming. I'd done a lot of canoeing. Well, I'd never done any whitewater rafting. But I thought, well, how hard can that be? So I got into the kayak. We set off from the bank. And for a while, as we were going down the river, no problem. But then we rounded a bend, and we hit the rapids. And all of a sudden, in my little inflatable kayak, I was out of control. I was just going down there, and I was turning, I was spinning, I was hitting rocks, I was hitting branches, I was getting snagged. I didn't know how to navigate that little inflatable kayak, and I didn't know how to go down rapids either. our instructor pulled one of those great big rubber rafts over to me, and he grabbed my kayak and he laughed as he pulled me in. I was lost, and fortunately found before I got into bigger trouble. Got in the boat with my friends. And if we're honest, all of us get lost at times. It's how sin starts, or it's how we lose our faith in God. It can start by just kind of veering off a little bit from your Christian family, kind of like me, kind of full of yourself, thinking, well, this will just be fun. And then maybe you hit a rock and you get hurt. And maybe you make a bad choice. And then another one. And it just starts with a little thing, just snagging you. And before you know it, you're in troubled waters. I, like Paul, can say, I have made a lot of mistakes. I'm one of the sinners here. But in those times when my life was spinning out of control, Jesus always found me. And he helped me learn about grace. And he forgave me. And he lifted me up into the big boat of the church. And I know that he will do that for you and for everyone else. I have a little slip of paper. I carry it. I carry it in my purse. It's a poem by a woman named Carol Wimmer. It's called When I Say That I'm a Christian. It reads, when I say I'm a Christian, I am not shouting I'm saved. I'm whispering. I get lost. And that's why I choose this way. When I say I am a Christian, I don't speak of this with pride. I'm confessing that I stumble. And I need my God to guide. When I say I'm a Christian, I'm not trying to be strong. I profess that I'm weak, and I pray for strength to carry on. When I say I'm a Christian, I'm not bragging of success. I admit that I have failed. I cannot pay the debt. When I say that I'm a Christian, I'm not claiming to be perfect. My flaws are all too visible, but God believes I'm worth it. When I say I'm a Christian, I still feel the sting of pain. I have my share of heartaches, which is why I seek his name. When I say I am a Christian, I do not wish to judge. I have no right to do that. I only know I'm loved. Jesus got into the waters, and he walked on the lands and on the streets of this life. And then in his unconditional love for you, he gave his life, taking our sins, our wrong turns on himself, and dying the death that we deserve, and then rising to new life in glory. And he will search for you. He will find you, so that you, along with all people, can know that you belong here. You belong in his family. Our table here, our table is incomplete. We are missing some of God's precious people. And as you have opportunities to meet people who aren't here for any reason that keeps them out of a church community, please pull up alongside them and let them know that we have a big boat and we need them, and welcome them in. There is joy in heaven every time we turn around and come home to God with the rest of our Christian family. We're more healed. We're more complete. We are more the people that God needs us to be. Jesus' mission through the rough waters of this life is to find us all, members and guests and homeless, and gather us all in.